Hi, this is Pete with Chopper Design, maker of LegUp landing gear. Today we're going to show you how to install a LegUp landing gear on a Harley touring bike. We include very detailed instructions with all our systems. So today we want to just give you a visual presentation, very short, not as detailed, of how we actually go about installing this on a Harley touring bike. Here we have the bike. Both bags and side covers are off. The seat will shortly be off. And we're doing it on the floor so you can see how you could do it in your own garage. Sometimes we do it on a lift. First step is to get the switch box in place. On this bike we use a bracket. On most bikes it's just a bolt going through the left hand control. We get that on tight. We take the plug off the end of the wire, tape the wires together, and we run them down the handlebar, into the fairing, and then carefully under the tank so nothing gets hurt. Very simple. As you can see, he's feeding it through the fairing here. On Road Kings, it would be just down the handlebars. And then he's using wire ties to hold it to existing wires or to the handlebar. Make sure everything's nice and neat and it can't get hurt or worn out over time. Next, you'll see Ben get it started underneath the tank. He'll get it under there. We don't remove the tank. Some people like to. That's fine. But he gets it all nice and neat and held up where it can't get damaged. And you'll see at the end, he'll give it a little tugbolt direction to make sure that it's fine. And we get the wires underneath the seat. Okay. Right now, we don't put the plug back on it. Next, we start putting the wiring harness, placing the wire harness around the bike. Different bikes have different things, different years, all covered in the manual. And here we have to measure a certain amount of wire that's going to go into the saddlebag. Once we know the length is right, he ties this off to the fender strut. Again, different years, 2009 and later kind of look like this. 2008 and earlier look a little different. No big deal. So he loosely puts the wire ties here. We'll finalize it later. Now we're hooking up the power. The power for the compressor system goes directly to the battery. As you may not be able to see it, but there's a fuse holder there, and the fuse is not in at this point, just to be safe. He hooks up the positive. Now we go to the negative. On most bikes, we actually have a plug that goes under the fender that plugs in to the power for the electronics. On these late model bikes, it's actually under the side cover. We'll detail that later. Here you can see he's getting the tape off the wires we ran underneath the tank. Get them all separated, put them in exactly in the right spot, as you might imagine, all covered in the manual again. So these plugs, some people have trouble with them. The plugs get pushed in. You'll hear a click. You tug on it, it won't come out. Everything's fine. You put there's a little cap here you can see he's installing right now, and then we start to make the wires neat. Place the wires. We're going to plug this in where it belongs, but place it in someplace so that when we're done, the seat goes back on. It's not a mess underneath it. The neater you make your wiring, the less likely they are to wear out over time. Again, right now he's just placing some of the things where it belongs. The next step is for us to mount the leg system. Here you see Ben taking off the foot peg. Our new mounts actually replace either the foot peg or the floorboard mounts. Usually there's one bolt and a pin, or it could be two bolts. Here you see after he's got that off, he's pulling a little rubber plug. We have to mount these in the top hole, and our new mounts have two big bolts that we use. So he pulled the rubber plug out of the top. Now he's getting the bolts ready for our mount. He's put Loctite on already, and now he's going to offer up the mount to the bike. And as you can see in the mount, there's two holes for a long ball Allen wrench, or socket I should say. He's starting the bolts through. You could use a regular Allen if you don't have a long ball end, but this makes it much easier. There's an L on the bracket. That is just so you could read it. The brackets are the same for both sides. We don't send two lefts and no rights. This is just so that for our welding process, we want to know which way is the right way. There's an 8-degree bend on the frame, and we got to get it right. In either case, here we go. He's putting the two big Allens, the 3/8 inch Allens. He's putting them in, getting them very, very tight, and the Loctite's there. Next, we find the leg itself, and we use 4 bolts to mount this to that plate we just mounted. There's button heads for the top and hex heads for the bottom. So as you can see, you put the 2 button head screws through the 2 top holes in the bracket, and on the leg, and now into the bracket. He's putting on there's nylon nuts that are supplied to hold them on. Now he'll put the hex heads on the bottom. This makes it very strong. This mount is so much stronger than the way we used to clamp to the Harley floorboard mounts, which were cast. This is basically an inch square of solid steel that's holding 2 bolts to the bike instead of 1 bolt. Much, much stronger. So here he is putting the nuts on all 4 of them. And again, we're going to tighten these up pretty good. These are 5/16 inch bolts, so no torque setting per se, but good and tight, as they say, is a way to do it. As you can see, he's tightening both. These are the button heads for the top. We use that for a little bit of clearance on the floorboards we're going to mount later. And then he'll crank the bottom down with 2 wrenches. This is using an Allen and a wrench. And now we'll go to the back, and we'll tighten the 2 back bolts. When this is done, this is an integral part of the bike. It is really stout. We get no flex in these mounts. Just a vast improvement over the old methodology of clamping to the floorboard mounts. Again, if you don't have if you have foot pegs as this bike has, you'll want to ask us about purchasing a set of floorboards to cover the top of our mounts. Otherwise, you're going to move your mounts, which we're going to show you right after this. We're going to go on to moving your floorboards onto this mount. And they're held on with 2 pins. And what Ben just placed a spring and ball, which would have came off your floorboards if you took them off, or in this case, these are new floorboards for this gentleman. And then we carefully press the floorboard onto the mounts and push these pins into the floorboard base. Okay, you have to be careful not to knock the ball and spring, which locks them down, out of the way. And that's what he's doing now. He's putting the first pin in. He's got both pins. Now push them to the right spot. Again, these are just steel pins that are either on your existing floorboards, or we'll supply you with them if you buy floorboards from us. He pushes them on. Then we're going to put the floorboard cover. And there's different covers, of course. This one happens to be a complete rubber cover. And you'll see. On the new mounts, you cannot flip these floorboards all the way up. There's hardly any need to, because our leg system is always going to be out there. They'll flip up just a little bit, as you'll see in a minute, as Ben fits this rubber cover into place. And now he's got these little nibs, and they fall into holes. He's pulling them out to lock down the front end of that. And there it is. All installed, tight as could be. Very nice setup compared to the old methodology. Okay, the next step would be to run the airlines. We detail how to run them, but what you really want to make sure is that they're not being scuffed anywhere. We're going to get them to the back left side, which we'll show you in a minute. Here he's working on the one on the left. These hoses get pushed into the fitting. If you want to remove them, you push the end of the fitting in, push the hose in, then pull it out. These are just push to connect fittings, very simple. And then again, he runs the wires where the hoses where it won't get hurt. They ultimately wind up here near the wires that are going to go into the saddlebag. And as you can see, we leave a loop here. This helps us get the bag on and off. A little harder when you have rails around the bags. The next thing we're going to do on the hard bags is prepare them. Soft bags is no real preparation of the bag. In this case, we have a cutout template in the instruction manual. He puts tape down about where the holes are going to be. As you can see, he was going to mark it with a pen. Then I reminded him we want to really tape it down. Ben's so good at these installations, he hardly needs this stuff. So we tape the template down. It's shaped to match the bag, so you can't miss it. It's not monstrously critical where these holes are, but you want to get them close. And so he's got it taped down. He put the blue tape underneath it so it doesn't scratch the paint. And then he just marks it with a punch. Okay, you could drill right through the template if you like, whatever makes you happy. He does it a little different than others might. Then he takes the template off, and then we're going to drill and try not to kill the bag. As you can see, we're laying on a nice soft thing here. He drills pilot holes. Myself, I'm a little wilder. I just drill one big hole. But he'll drill the 2 pilot holes. Then we get the 1/2-inch bit, and you'll see in a second why we're drilling these 2 holes. They don't hurt the bag, and they're on the inside of the left bag. Now watch this. Here goes the bag. That's why you should hold on to it with 2 hands, and that's why we have it on a soft surface. You can't hurt anything. Okay, first hole, second hole. There's one other little thing we make. We have to make a slot for the wire to go in so it doesn't get hit by the bag top every time the bag is open and closed. We're using a burr. You could use anything, a file, a small hacksaw, whatever tools you have handy. But all we're doing is making a small enough slot for the wire to fall into that once it's all mounted, so it doesn't get damaged every time you open and close the left bag. He's cleaning up the hole now, and then you'll see that it's just a little notch, and we're just going to be able to put the wire in there. The rubber will still seal it weather tight. Tape comes off. Now we're going to want to mount the bag, and again, it's a little harder to see because this, I'm sorry, we're putting the fittings on first. These are the bulkhead fittings. They go through the bag. This way the bag can continue to go on and off anytime you want to by just releasing the hoses. The elbows on the inside of the bag, the straight pieces on the the elbows on the outside, the straight pieces on the inside. Very simple. Just tighten up. You don't have to tighten it very hard. We just want it to hold still. And now he's got them both on there. And we will ultimately put the hoses on there. Here's what it looks like once it's complete. Now we put the bag in. You won't be able to see it because this bike's got rails around the saddlebags, but we're hooking up the hoses first, then leaning the bag back. You can see there's the fittings we just installed. And then we're going to pull the wires into that little notch that we made in the saddlebag. That's what he's doing now before he gets it all the way tight. There you go. And that falls into the notch. He kind of bends the wire around it so it finds its little place, and that's where it's going to stay. Okay. He checks to make sure it's the right length and everything. Next thing we want to do is get the compressor system into the bag. The compressor ships with the top. We take the top off first, and we kind of slide it in. It fits very tightly into the back of the bag and the like. Now he takes the 2 hoses that are already attached to the compressor. We hook them up, just push them into the fittings that we did there. There's a good shot of it. You can see that they're now hooked up to it, the 2 black lines. There you go. Okay, then we want to plug the compressor in. There's an 8-pin plug and a 12-pin plug on that wire that's hanging there in the bag. The 8-pin plug gets plugged in first. Snap. Now he's taking the nuts off. We're going to put the top. There you go, this little metal top. It's got a notch for the wire to slide through. You put the top on the 3 aluminum standoffs, we call them. Once it slides on there, you'll see 3 little silver things sticking up. He'll put the nylon nuts on. No reason to use any kind of tool for this. Just spin them on. All 3. Now the top's down. He works the wire in. Gets everything just the way he wants. Now he's got the computer in hand. It's got Velcro on the back. You strip off the adhesive part of the Velcro. Line it all up really nice. And then you could put the computer straight down, press it down. It'll stay on the top. You want to take the bag off. You take the top back off. Unplug the plugs. There, and here it is, a nice little package, nice and neat in the back of the saddlebag. Now just basically we want to show you how we mount the speed sensor. As you can see on the 6-speed bikes, we have a little bracket that goes on the back shock, and every time a bolt goes around, you can see this light turn on and off. Please consult the manual. It's very detailed and very different for different bikes. Well, that's it. We make it real simple. This is about 5 hours worth of work. You want to test it. You want to follow all the instructions in the book. We spent a lot of time and took a lot of pictures in the book so you could see exactly how this goes. Test it, make sure every function works, and then you can enjoy the LegUp system for a very, very long time. LegUp Landing Gear by Chopper Design. For more information, please visit our website, landinggear.com, or call us at 407-834-5007. Thanks for watching.